A failed coup or a failed attempt to topple a repressive regime, as critics have described it. He seized power himself from Sir Dawda Jawara in 1994 while he was an army leader and has since ruled what many have described as one of the most repressive governments in Africa. President Yahya Jammeh once told the BBC that he would rule the Gambia for a billion years. Today, some members of his military are reported to have been unsuccessful in an attempt to topple the government. There have been reports of gunfire in Gambia's capital, Banjul, in what is suspected to be a coup attempt to oust him. The gunmen are unknown and they attacked the State House during the night, but shooting eventually died down. My name is Gifty Ando Apia, and this is the big story. Well, President Yahya Jammeh is said to be in France, but other reports say he is in Dubai when the report broke out. The situation has led to a halt in business activities as banks and other offices closed down on Tuesday. How volatile is the situation in Gambia at the moment, and what is the posturing of the international community on this particular incident? Where is Yahya Jammeh? Is it about time for his regime? Does he still not enjoy popularity and loyalty as leader of the Gambia if this attempt can be foiled with speed? Known for his high-handedness, what are the possible consequences of an attempt overthrow for the persons involved? These are some of the issues that we will be subjecting to scrutiny here on the TVS. Well, you're welcome back. And as we said earlier on, the president of Gambia, who himself came to power in a coup 20 years ago, faces increased criticism from abroad over his human rights record. Now, in recent years, he frequently reshuffled senior military and civilian officials, a move that prevented individuals from becoming too powerful but stoked instability. Now, let us get onto the telephone lines right now and speak to our correspondent in Gambia. Well, he wants to remain anonymous for obvious reasons. But I'm told that we don't have our correspondent who is on the grounds there in Gambia, but we will come back to him and get you some more information from Gambia. What are we trying to know? We want to know how the situation in Gambia is impacting the society as we speak. Is it really a failed attempt to topple the government? These are some of the questions that we'll be throwing to Dr. Kwesieni when we come back from this break. Please stay. Welcome back and many thanks for staying. Now, Ebad Ibrahim is an international news analyst and he joins us on the telephone lines now to subject the issue, as I said, to a little bit of scrutiny. Hello, Ebad.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening and thank you very much for your time. Now, as an international news analyst, does this situation come to you as a surprise?
Well, my feelings about what's happening in the Gambia are quite ambivalent. In one breath, all of us have always trumpeted for the need for rule of law on the continent. And in another breath, you would also cringe as the thought that you are losing a strong Pan-African like Yahya Jammeh, a man that has stood up against the new colonialist status quo for quite some time. So all in all, I think my feelings are quite ambivalent. Since 94 he has been at post, he should give way to a fresh pair of hands. But that was withstanding. The puppetry misery we will see on the continent will increase as and when we lose Pan-African leaders like Jammeh.
But would you say that he was doing this as in this Pan-Africanism, well, whatever it is, the Pan-Africanist feeling that he brings on board as far as the continent and how it wants to stay away from neo-colonialists, as we say, is concerned? Do you think that he did it in the right way?
I think Jammeh was an inward-looking leader. He continues to be a leader anyway, even though we are told he's either in Dubai or France as we speak currently. So the issue of the coup is business in progress. It hasn't been finalized yet. But that's what we stand. When you look at the history of the man and his utterances, he has been a very strong pillar against issues like homosexuality. And you remember, there's only a few months ago, he much to the resentment or chagrin of our international partners, he extended the punishment for homosexuality from a 14-year imprisonment to life imprisonment. So he hasn't been in the good books of these Western powers. And therefore, even though he was looking inward, his is a very small country. The Gambia is only an enclave that is entirely surrounded by Senegal, whose population is less than 2 million. So all in all, he wasn't a regional or continental power broker. He looked more inward than trying to be in the books of the international community. But Pan-Africanism was blood that passed through his arteries, just as we saw in the case of Gaddafi and other people. So therefore, all in all, I believe this Pan-Africanism was in a good light, for as long as that, as Africans, our culture is averse to a man sleeping with fellow man or a woman, being intimate with another woman. I believe so well that it was in a good faith that he carried out this act of Pan-Africanism.
But what would you say, Eva, to people who would like to take people comments like what you've just made on and say that, listen, he did not just come up strongly against issues like homosexuality, but that he also he's also known for his anti-media, posture. And we know that people who are opposed to him or people that he believes oppose him usually get missing in the system. They're never found.
Yes, certainly, I agree with you. People like Deda Hayadara, who went missing, the man had over 30 years of experience in journalism. He was the country representative for AFP as well as Reporters Without Borders. He just vanished into thin air.
Exactly.
Jammeh has got a very bad track record on human rights issues. In 21st century Africa, Jammeh is still carrying out summary executions of people accused of murder or treason or attempted coup and all that. So I think his record was quite checkered, so to speak. But that's notwithstanding, I believe so well that this is not a good precedent. And we've lost just enough Pan-African leaders on the continent. We just can't afford to keep losing them.
Right, hold on for me, Ebert, because we're going to the Gambia right now where we'll be speaking to a correspondent over there. He, of course, wants to remain anonymous for security reasons and for, if you like, for obvious reasons, because we know we are coming from a certain anti-media background there in the Gambia. Hello, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for your time. Now, can you confirm the shooting incident and the attempted coup that we're hearing that happened here in Gambia?
I mean, yes. I mean, it was declared yesterday around 1 p.m. 1 a.m. in the morning up to 4 a.m. They were sitting in Banjul.
So,
and they believe that this spot. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and they believe that these forces, are outside forces. They came through it yesterday, and shooting was happening in Banjul from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. in the morning. So there was no casualties was reported. Like they said 4 of them were injured and the other 4, and the other 5 ran away. So that's why they said there 10 of them happened to try to control, the state house.
Now, you say that they were outsiders. You say the forces that came in were outsiders. You mean that they are outside from, they're coming outside the Gambia?
They are Gambians, because right now too much of speculatism is going inside the country here, because as far as the national television, the recorded station has allowed people to go freely to work and business is normal according to them. And the president also has taken to some of the international reviews that the country, his military are able to tackle a coup that was happening in the country.
Would you say that again?
Yeah, according to international news, the president said that some military loyal to him, they are able to hide a coup in the country.
Right. But you are in the Gambia. What is the feeling like around where you are now? How is the atmosphere there like?
Everything in the tension here is high. People are inside homes. Nothing is actually going because I've been up to Serakunda, the western area. But, people cannot go to the capital, by then. So, not more people, working. Pedestrian has been happening, but not many people have been on the street. And business was not as usual because of that being closed, people have been stayed inside their homes.
Well, but there were reports that the loyal troops or the troops that are loyal to the government who were able to foil this attempt have been able to have told the residents or have told the people of the Gambia to stay indoors. Isn't that the case?
Yeah. Right now people are indoors. Right now, but now again, reports have been to the public that people should go away with their business. Business should go as normal, as nothing has happened. But it's all about rumors and speculation. That's what the national television, the national radio announced. It's all about speculation. That's what they say.
So it's not business as usual, as you say?
Yeah, early in the morning, around 7 to around up to 2 p.m. up to 3 p.m. Business was not going on. Shops have been closing. People have not been going to work. So everybody was staying inside the homes.
So what can you tell me as far as the security situation there is concerned now? Has there been a state of emergency or something like that? Officially?
No, I don't hear it. Can you repeat what you said?
Has there been an official state of emergency or any official statement on what's happened beyond the speculations?
Yeah, obviously nothing was happening because the guy who happened to read was just the presenter who said that it was all about rumors, businesses like that. So any official didn't came out to speak to the public. So people are here are in doubt. But the local news, as I told you, the radio station, report that this is all about speculation. People should go around on their normal businesses.
Well, it's quite a bit of a mixed atmosphere there. But let me find out from you again before you go. We know how President Yahya Jammeh deals with people he believes are in opposition to him. What do you pick up as far as the consequences of this failed attempt could be?
Yeah, we expect many things to happen. We don't know actually what will happen, but so far we are yet to wait for what is going to happen in the next 24 hours. I said, it is declared that he is not yet in the country. So people right now are inside their homes. They are just waiting to see what will happen within the next 24 hours.
But in your practice as a journalist, do you have a sense, do you feel that these people may end up being harshly punished, as harsh as being executed maybe?
Yeah, because, that is not something that, that is normal and in the Gambia to see officers being prosecuted and threatened. This should be not a new thing to anybody in the country because already we all knew what will be the repercussion of these people.
What are your personal fears? Do you have any?
What?
What are your personal fears as a person on the ground? Do you have any fears yourself?
Yeah, my personal fear is right now, as speaking to as a journalist, is that because, as you know, the people are not able to speak freely. So right now I'm being sacrificed for you and people out there, just to let the people to know what is happening, as is my duty, to inform people.
Right. Thank you very much. We will come back to you much later for some more information as to what exactly is happening there in the Gambia. That is our correspondent, working for us this very moment in the Gambia, who wants to remain anonymous for obvious reasons as far as the context of what we're talking about is concerned. But I have Ebert on the line, and so we'll go back to him and do a bit of more scrutiny. Now, Ebert, you've heard this journalist talking to us. Now, we can't even mention his name. We can't even say where he is because of, like I said earlier, obvious reasons. How do you balance Pan-Africanism and such oppression in a 21st century?
Certainly, Pan-Africanism is not synonymous with muffling or muzzling people or denying them to express themselves. But this is just one of the tools of repression Yahya Jammeh really used to make sure he would tamp down dissidents in whatever form it may be in the country. A well-informed electorate or public would mean that there would be more challenges to him in terms of his lack of democratic legitimacy in that country. So in terms of media, security, and all that, Yahya Jammeh really kept his trump cards close to his chest. Mind you, the Gambia has no minister for defense. The only defense minister is Yahya Jammeh himself. But that's notwithstanding, he's been in power for quite some time, since 1994. So there has been some laxity in his security architecture. The very person who is deemed to be the lead, coup person, the one who is leading this attempt, is Lieutenant Colonel Lamin Sane. Sane was the one in charge of the security guard of the palace where Yahya Jammeh was residing until he was tried some 2 years ago. And there is also a regional twist to this. Yahya Jammeh was always in good terms with the former president of Senegal. And Senegal is more of a parent country to the Gambia. When you look at the West African map, you realize that the Gambia is enmeshed in Senegal. So the slightest lack of cooperation from any Senegalese leader would put Yahya Jammeh as a dictator at risk, because Abdoulaye Wade was also trying to tread the kind of path Yahya Jammeh has treaded since 1994, lost to Macky Sall, and Macky Sall is in the good books of the French. So when you put two and two together, you realize that, well, Macky Sall has not been cooperative. I understand the gentleman who has indicated that those who marauded came from outside, because Senegal has opened its doors since Macky Sall became president, has opened its doors to Gambians that are living in exile. And there is a young man, a very charismatic young man called Sidi Abayo, who is a Gambian of French descent, who indicated only some 48 hours that they had already made the groundwork for a coup, and that the military people in the country should rise up, because he knew so well that Yahya Jammeh had traveled to France. So they should cash in on that vacuum that had been created. So all in all, I believe so well that Senegal as a neighbor has not been too helpful to Yahya Jammeh since Macky Sall became president. So therefore, it fits into the rumor that perhaps there could be a grand agenda in concert with regional powers by the French to torpedo the Yahya Jammeh regime, because all of us know that he has questioned all Western principles. Sure. He has even gone as far as questioning evolution. He has said there is nothing like evolution. He believes that all people were created from God, and God says Adam and Eve were the source of all of humanity. So he has challenged the Westerners at all fronts, at all levels.
And so this could be an attempt. This could be an attempt from the people that he has challenged to maybe show him where the power lies, if you like.
Exactly. Since he's been a solid pillar of resistance to all of Western media. If you look at all the pictures of Yahya Jammeh, you hardly see him in a pair of suits and a tie. He's always in his African apparel. Gaddafi was also doing the same thing. So that is why I believe that we should be a bit apprehensive as Africans that, well, slavery and the pillars of, colonialism might have been torn down. The youth may no longer be there, but our own mentality and conscience has been colonized. And these are the very people who have spoken against this new colonialism. So if we continue to lose them, at the end of the day, the puppetry on the continent is going to continue, quite unfortunately.
I'll come back to you, Ebad Ibrahim. Just hang on a little for me, because we have Dr. Kwesi Enning, who is head of research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, and he joins us now. Good evening to you, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Now, let's take a casual look at Yahya Jammeh's political journey. Now, some of his actions and inactions, and let's find out if truly Gambia has been, well, we all know Gambia has not been a peaceful country, but let's put it in context. He overthrew Gambia's first president as a 29-year-old army lieutenant in 1994. How justifiable is this act?
Well, that coup d'etat was not justifiable. And non-coup d'etats are not justifiable.
But now that after that coup d'etat, he's been able to rule this country for a very long time. Now he has won 4 widely criticized elections. How do you contextualize these?
Well, I think it's very easy people to say, well, he's flouted the rules of the political game, and therefore any method that is used to kick him out of power is legitimate. I don't think so. There are procedures and processes in the Gambia supported by ECOWAS under the Supplementary Protocol for Democracy and Good Governance and the African Union's Democracy Protocol. So under all circumstances, we would need to use the legitimate
right
to change political authority, precisely because a successful coup anywhere, and I think here we need to make a differentiation between a popular uprising, as we saw in Burkina Faso, that leads to a quick transition program, to a militarily violent overthrow. That will take the Gambia back almost half a century, and I think the Gambia does not need that.
No, but Doc, do you agree that this person is highly high-handed on his opposition, and he doesn't allow the journalists or the media in his country to thrive? How do you sustain the democracy in such a stiff system?
Well, it's almost impossible, and I think there are 2 things that are happening right now in terms of President Mohammed's role as the head of ECOWAS. To be sending signals to the Gambia, first about the manner in which those who have been arrested for being involved in this coup are treated, and that they must be treated based on the rule of law, that they shouldn't just be summarily executed. Now, if you remember, sometime around 2004, 5, 6, there were these Ghanaians who were murdered in the Gambia.
Exactly.
Of course, we all know that they were falsely accused of attempting to make a coup d'etat. The second is that we should nudge the Gambians gently towards a more transparent, inclusive, participatory democratic process. You see, because the end result after this failed attempt might not be a failure again, and it might not be too peaceful. So I think once more, Ghana as chair of ECOWAS has a certain role to play in encouraging our small neighboring country to begin to play the game by the rule book. And I'll argue with you that Mr. Jammeh has not always played the game by the rule book, but that does not justify a violent overthrow of his regime.
Well, Doc, finally, before I let you go, it is not justifiable. We've established that. But this is a president who has looked, like people have said, very inwardly. He doesn't seem to take any advice from anybody now. He goes his own way, and he does things his own way. How does a President Mahama-led ECOWAS step in at this time where he has evidence that people want to take away the government from me? How easy is that going to be?
Well, I think there's more than enough evidence also that he has also infringed on people's rights, and that if the ICC wants to bring up charges against him, that is possible.
Right.
So I think ECOWAS has a certain leverage in beginning a conversation with him about opening the democratic space and making it much more inclusive.
Right. Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Kwesi Ening, there speaking to us about the consequences, especially that was his focus of this failed attempt to oust President Yahya Jammeh. Well, Ebad Ibrahim, I'm sure we've lost him as well, but thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. And we've had quite a number of perspectives being thrown on this situation that's happening in the Gambia. This is TBS, and many thanks for your time. Well, I will return, but please stay.